Hello all, it is Stingy. Once again, I'm coming back with a video about what can we expect for the monthly horoscopes of July regarding the Uranus and Gemini transits for the 12 signs. First, we'll start with Aries risings. The Uranus Gemini transit will happen in the third house of home environment and channels of communication or information as far as the news. This is something that is very diving into these channels and being in the presence of the neighborhood or environment that's directly given to your current living space. This is very liberating, and this is where you'll find a very energized and exciting time for the natives. Also, and with this uncovering of the environmental knowledge or local knowledge comes a breakthrough and sudden and unexpected avenues of neurological pathways that you come across within the mind, and the breakthroughs of mental blockages within the psychological constitution of the native. This is someone, Aries rising, who is technologically advanced at this time and using that to gain this information, very much being, within media. We want to say to be aware of the brash and reckless behavior of diving in, of delving yourself within your early environment, as far as your city or around cousins or siblings, brothers, sisters, people that's close to you. As far as that, people that's in your neighbors, being disruptive to them is something to watch for. Being disruptive to your environment is something to watch for. But also, ultimately, it's a very exciting and energetic time to be within community around, your early dwellings. As soon as you wake up and look around, that type of crowd. We have Taurus risings, which Taurus risings will have Gemini in their second house of finances and resources, skills, a disruption of, where you're currently at in your acquiring of resources under your current skill set. It might be a disruption to that, and that gaining you and allowing you to find other avenues that that you feel spiritually aligned with, that's strictly for you, that comes from the skies as divine insight for you to make a living off what you want to do, and it's allowing you freedom and liberation. But Uranus finds its way to you by disruption of what's already in place. We have Gemini risings, which the Uranus Gemini transit is happening in the first house of life, self, health, body, things immediately conscious of the native. Uranus provides the significations of freedom, liberation, sudden, unexpected breakthroughs of insight and downloads of freedom, disruption, rebelliousness. There's a newfound rebelliousness that comes into this native. A newfound freedom, a newfound purpose and direction that sparks in this native that is very liberating. This is a very liberating 7 years for Gemini risings. Gemini risings being very witty, being very communicative, curious. It's a very lively time for them to be curious and explore their their youthful energy and essence. Very, very, very universally intrigued and intentional and into interests, finding new interests and things that align with them. If a Gemini didn't know who they were in previous years, Gemini and Uranus transit for Gemini rising will be very liberating and freeing for the spirit, freeing for the spirit and allowing it an avenue to express its love for what it wants. It's more of a, there's going to be things thrown in this Gemini rising's life during this transit that's going to make them say no, and that no is going to push them towards what they want. Cancer's risings, we got this in the 12th house. Breakthroughs as far as mental, psychological blockages, disruptions of lifestyle that could probably result in an imprisonment being shackled up, and by way of the 12th house is the shadow. It's the side that we're not always privy to about ourselves, but every once in a while that shadow side comes and expresses itself in a way that is not so befitting to express itself. But as Uranus transits the 12th house, there's going to be moments of this Cancer rising where even their shadow and subconscious self comes to surprise them and the people around them perceiving them. So to be aware and watch out for this. But it's a time to find liberation in solitude, and in that break out of mental blockages and things that set back the native because they aren't aware to express themselves in ways that they're not so knowledgeable about themselves. It's about going through the fire to pull out some extraction of self. Very spiritualizingly innovative time, if that is a word. We have Leo risings, which is taking place in the 11th house of friends, allies, and people to help us in our dealings to work with our soul and our calling. These are people who are sent to us if we're an artist or musician, people to have, the same ideas and interests and intrigues and missions to help us push forward. It could just be friends, allies, associates, groups, and networks that provide you a sense of freedom and rebelliousness and liberation from the traditional norms, but these people allowing you that freedom and to dive into these contacts and be open to the trusts and the honesties of these other members, to allow them to give you gifts in organizations, networks, large groups that to support us in our foundation and status and reputation in life, to be open and aware of the divine insight that can come from there. We have Virgo risings, which is Gemini and Uranus and Gemini in the 10th house of career calling. The structure in which we gain based on our reputation and kind of sort of what is connected to what our beliefs are. The 10th house is a mission-oriented place. And when Uranus comes in there, there's disruptions to what you're currently doing as in your practice, or what you always thought you wanted to do. Uranus will come and show you that you haven't been seeing things at the full magnitude and the full range of potential and possibility that you could be seeing things to make you feel liberated and want to wake up out of your sleep to attack the day, and be proud of your practice and what you do and what you're called for, your calling, to be aware for the breakthroughs to come out in as far as reputation or disruptions. Be aware of disruptions and tarnishings on the name and status of what you represent. We have the Libra rising, which is going to place Gemini and Uranus and Gemini in the 9th house of beliefs and broad ideologies and philosophical beliefs, innovation, a liberation, and there's a calling to seek outside of your own norms or traditions and to find meaning and ploy from foreign lands and foreign languages, to take innovations and inspiration from them and to apply it into your own life, providing you some freedom and just to travel mentally, spiritually, psychologically, physically. It's a time for that. Looking for unexpected and unexpected avenues to travel, mentally, physically, metaphorically, metaphysically. Things you have never seen before, you never thought you would see. It's a time for that, of long foreign travel, of ideology, and pushing past the limits of what you believe and what you were raised to believe as far as your early environment. We have Scorpio risings, which is going to place Uranus and Gemini in the 8th house of debts, being free of debts. Maybe there's disruption that caused you to connect in a karmic bond, so watch out for that. Being free of karmic debts and bonds and responsibilities of another organization. Disruption from your own personal finance issues based on the divine insight of another person coming in to share what they have with you and using that resource to gain some structure of your own, and vice versa. There's polarities to everything. We have Sagittarius rising, which is going to place it into the 7th house of partner. No longer seeking a relationship or partnership to something that is not liberating or exciting you from a spiritual standpoint. It's not challenging you to push back your boundaries. Finally saying no and rebelling, or run into a partner that can bring out the side of you of liberation and things in the form of exploration and broad studies and philosophical pursuits and long journeys and evolutions of higher education, being intrigued in a belief system, finding intrigue in a belief system, and finding a partner running into a partner that'll take something out of you, or literally running away from a partnership and embracing freedom in your own accord. Embracing freedom in how you interact with direct channels on a one-on-one basis. Is an innovative time of developing these skills, of delivering to others in your own creative and personal way. Uranus and Gemini will shed a light on that, of your ability to communicate with a varied and different demographic of people. And going through those experiences, we have Capricorn risings, which is going to place it into the 6th house of servitude, disruptions to your own personal intrigue and interest due to the responsibility of taking care of smaller animals in the nearby area, or having some type of servitude, or being aware of putting your interests and things that further liberate you on the back burner for some martyr ideology of saving everyone else but yourself. That is a thing. Also, finding opportunities of liberation and freedom through servitude that you've never thought. You might find that you're a very self-sacrificing person during this time. And to go into those experiences with the thought of giving, you would have never thought, but and the freedom and the liberation and the wherewithal you feel from taking a step out and being selfless, being in servitude to another goal, another vision. We have Aquarius risings, which is going to take place in the 5th house of creative pursuits, a disruption of creative pursuits to introduce responsibility and progressive or conservative issues, or simply finding liberation and freedom and a rebelliousness and an individuality when it comes to your creative expression. Not selling your art or what you creatively express for some type of money, but knowing that the money is already guaranteed to you and your ability to express yourself. Not selling out for what you love to do. And that is how you find creative and freedom, financial freedom maybe, by not looking for financial freedom. Children, unexpected avenues of teaching children, being with children, guiding children, leading the youth, being an innovative light for the youth to follow. Uranus in the 11th, Uranus transiting the 5th house of Aquarius risings. And then finally we have Pisces risings, which is going into the 4th house of brand new family, roots, knowledge of self when it comes to where you come from in your ancestral lineage. That gives you some type of psychological foundation, kind of putting everything together. This is what I am. This is my life. This is where I come from. Giving you some more confidence to do anything, because the 4th house is a angular house. It's strong and it connects to all other angular houses. It's a very pivotal time for sudden breakthrough when it comes to psychological foundation and a peace, serene state in your home and where you return to after your practice out in the world. It is a a time for discovery of what you are when you're away from the job, what your family is away from the job. Like I said, new entities into the family that's giving you some type of peace and some understanding of what you are domestically, how you care for things outside the world, tending to the living things before the duties. Breakthroughs of long patterns of idleness due to the non-liberation of your goals. Of what you are at the core being of who you are. What you are in the most private sectors of your life. How your room is, your personality that's seen from your own room is being, is being the main stage. This has been the horoscopes of July regarding the Uranus transit in Gemini. Of the 12 signs. I am excited for this journey.